some business first. Evansburg Omaha, I told you guys last week, if you guys need anything side by sides, they're as low as 12.7 right now, and there's good deals on 4-wheelers, snow plows, all that kind of stuff. So if you need anything, just reach out to me. And gym business, we are going to do our coat drive again this year. Stay tuned for the dates on that and start to collect your coats and get things ready. So that's all I really have, though.
All right. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, which we always celebrate doing a hero workout. And tomorrow's workout is called Chad 1000X, and it is in memory of Chad Wilkinson. He was in a Navy SEAL. He had a traumatic brain injury while he was at war, and then when he came home, he really struggled with his mental health. As we know, the issues that we have getting help for people with mental health, the right care, it's a struggle still, and even especially for veterans. So unfortunately, he took his own life. And how his wife is remembering him and basically keeping his legacy alive is by, one, having a workout that CrossFit does in his memory, and she also opened up a foundation called the Step Up Foundation, which donates all of their proceeds to veterans and their families in advocating for mental health care. So that's something we're really excited about. And the workout is 1,000 box step-ups for time.
Sounds great.
1,000. And it is, and she said in her speech, like, it's monotonous, it's boring, and but such is life.
Yeah.
That's how life goes. And sometimes the reps blur into one another as you're just stepping up and stepping down from a box. And she said, think about who you think about and what you think about during those reps. And I thought that was a pretty cool way to talk about the workout, because a lot of people look at it and they're like, that's stupid, it's 1,000 box step-ups.
Yeah.
But he used to climb mountains, so that was a way he prepared for it. Put on a backpack and did these step-ups for time. So
yeah, and anybody can get through the easy times, but when life gets boring and monotonous, that's when you really struggle. So we learned last week with Josh, do hard things.
Absolutely.
Do hard things. So,
great book too, by the way. Do Hard Things,
yeah,
Steve
I
Magnus.
could probably take a little lesson from that. But do you have any news? Do you have anything?
I'm actually writing a book.
You are?
I am.
Awesome.
About my journey throughout this whole traumatic accident that I had. I've started it. I'm not sure I'm gonna be done, but yeah, I've started it.
It's gonna take time, like all things. So if you ever need some motivation or anything we can help with, just make sure
Come to me, not Justin.
Yeah. Listen,
He procrastinates.
I say all the words, all right? And sometimes words can help, all right?
Yeah.
And there's so many interesting people that have wrote books lately too. Dr. Darcy just wrote a book about opening your own Airbnb. So there are a lot of local authors that you can reach out to if you're in that process where you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of local people that have wrote books and that have done well.
Yeah, because I write everything down on my phone or my computer, and it doesn't all make sense. It's just whatever I write out that day. I don't have a plan for everything yet, but.
And there are people that can help you piece that together too.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. And AI has lots of ways to kind of help piece things together as well.
I use ChatGPT for everything.
Okay.
I really do. I'll type in just at work. I'm like, what's the difference between this bike and that bike, and it'll list out everything perfectly. It'll search 5 or 6 websites, and I don't even have.
So anything smart that you write now, I'm gonna be like, that was ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I saw you had another big thing this week where you got fitted for your mold, right?
Yeah, I got fitted 2 days ago, I believe, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. I've struggled using just one hand.
Yeah.
So, I wanted something more robotic, but they don't really have that where the clinic I go to. So it's more like a manual. I have to move the fingers and adjust it to where I want it. But it's going to be better than what I have.
And it's always advancing. Science is always advancing constantly, so that's a good thing to look forward to.
And it seems like it compounds every year and gets better and better and better.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just going to go with this option for now because it's the option I have, and then hopefully later they'll have better technology that is able to fit my needs.
You said about writing things down and not being concise or whatever. Matthew McConaughey wrote from the time he was 15 till he was 50. And he said sometimes it'd only be a word, sometimes it'd be a whole sentence, sometimes it'd be a whole page. And he just put them away, and then 35 years later went and looked through all that, and then wrote his book Green Lights.
That's a great book.
It's a great book. Yeah.
I finally listened to it. I was really impressed with that book.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
It was really great.
Gave me a different perspective on him too. I liked it.
Yeah, he's not just the.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you grew up? We all grew up in the same area.
Yeah, I grew up in pretty much Purchase Line High School, or Purchase Line area, I guess. I was in so many different sports. I was in cheerleading, I was in basketball, I was a track runner, I was also in cross country. I loved to run before.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I don't know. It just gave me like motivation. I don't know. I went to IUP for a little bit before the accident happened to be a physical education teacher. I loved gym class. Like I said, I liked running, so that all just came together. I grew up with a mom and a stepdad. I have two sisters, Rochelle and Haley. Rochelle's older, Haley's my younger sister. Rochelle currently has 3 kids. So I have 3 nieces and nephews, Kylie, Jackson, and Camry. My little sister, she's going to school for a nurse. Right now, I'm currently going to school, online school at IUP for business and entrepreneurship.
Good
Nice.
for you.
Good for you. Yeah.
Not sure really where I want to go with that. I was thinking about an Airbnb business.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know,
So
a great book for you
Yeah.
to read.
Good, 'cause I need ideas. I kind of wanted to do that because that way I can have like that home to go to if I needed away from my house here. So, yeah.
That sounds fantastic. What year did you graduate from Purchase Line?
2019.
2019. So you were born basically when we were graduating high school. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Awesome.
And my birthday's actually Christmas Eve.
Oh, nice.
So 12/24/2000.
There you go. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys paid attention over the last year, we were able to honor you during the Rotary event, the Flags for Heroes event. Super touching event, and you got to honor your hero, the gentleman. What was his name that helped you out?
Matt Martin.
Matt Martin, a
Yeah.
local fireman that helped you during the night of the accident, which is an incredible story too. And kind of like to get into some of that stuff if you want to talk about it. Do you want to start from the beginning, or how do you want to do?
Yeah, I can start from the beginning.
Okay.
First I worked at Reliant Holdings, which is like a credit card company. My mom worked there and she was about 40 when she started there. So during the summers I would go and work with her, help her out at work while I was juggling school and sports and stuff. But COVID hit around COVID hit really bad in October. So my work decided to have everyone take their stuff and go home with it. Well, my apartment at IUP where I was living, they didn't have like really strong Wi-Fi. So I decided to take it to my mom's house, which was over by the Purchase Line High School. And that night I worked from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And after my shift ended, I was leaving, and when I got in my car, I realized I didn't have my keys. So I had to go back inside to my mom's house, and I grabbed my keys off the table, and I told my mom that I'll see her later, that I loved her, and I'll talk to her later. Got in my car, went out the driveway, I started driving towards, back to Indiana, and I can remember like deciding whether I wanted to take Airport Road or if I wanted to take another way. I was like, Airport Road, it's the same distance, like at the same time, whatever. I took that road, and I'm not really sure.
That's what you remember then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not really sure how it happened yeah.
Let's step forward then. Where do you remember?
Waking up in the hospital 3 months later.
3 months later.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
as far as the night of, you did tell your story during the Rotary event. I heard you were FaceTiming somebody while that happened.
Yeah. During my work, my 3 or 4 friends, they FaceTimed me and they were letting me know what was going on that night.
Okay.
Like, friends are coming over, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. So I'm guessing whenever that FaceTime happened during the accident, I'm guessing I just called the first person that was on my call list.
Just right there. Yeah.
And I'm guessing it was them. I'm not really sure why I didn't call my mom or 911, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Shock. You're in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the event, you got to speak about Matt Martin too, and he was one of the first members on the scene, the firefighters on the scene, and he's the one that was actually able to get you out of the car. Did they use like jaws of life, stuff like that? Did they talk to you about that?
They just told me that he's seen my white shoes from inside because they didn't even know I was in there.
Okay.
They didn't think anybody was in the car. But I guess Matt Martin went up on the windshield, they seen my white shoes, and I guess he just went from there, pulled me out, and got hurt in the process.
Yeah, he tore his like ACL and MCL, I think.
Yeah, he was
in his
out
knee.
of work for a couple months because of that.
Okay. Now that you've had time to reflect on it, what's a couple of things that helped you get through? I know your boyfriend's here. He's a great guy. Yeah.
My boyfriend, his mom's my in-home nurse. She takes care of like the medications that I need. She takes me to my appointments. She takes care of my wounds if I have a surgery. So she's been a big help. My friend Jade, she's also been a big help. She changed my bandages when needed. My sisters also, and of course, her kids and stuff. There's been a lot of people that have helped, and that prayers for Payton page.
Yeah.
That's been amazing. Just all the people. I can go back and look at everything that's happened, and all the people that stuck with me and prayed for me throughout the time. And it's just really nice to know that a community, that's behind me.
Fantastic.
That's the one thing I think that's awesome about living in a small town.
Yeah.
Is despite right now it's like a time of differences. Everyone's thinking about their differences, but when something happens in our community, people come together in ways that you don't always see in big cities. And I think that that's what is so cool about living in a small town, the way people will help people when they need it.
Yeah, the number one thing that I think of whenever I think of community stepping together was long before you were born, September 11th. Yeah, well actually it would have been
Like a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, the time after that, we have so much disparity and people fighting amongst each other, especially right now. And if you go back to, September 12th, we were a community. We loved each other. We helped each other. We did that. And in the time of tragedy, people really do come together and help. You don't want tragedy to do that, but you don't need tragedy to bring people together.
Yeah.
This is stuff we should already be doing.
So talking about your after your accident, what kind of injuries did you sustain?
3rd-degree burns on 70% of my body. It was painful. It was very, very painful. The 3 months that I was in a coma, no, it wasn't. But after they started reducing all the medications and all the pain medications, and with my mom, she could stay there, but she also had to go home to see her other kids. So a lot of the time I was alone. So that made me scared and more vulnerable to pain. And just going through the bandage changes and not knowing really where I was or who the people around me was, that just kind of messed up my train of this is really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people have accidents, they do kind of step into that pain medicine world, and congratulations to you for not doing that, because that's incredible. Because even mentally, physically, people kind of get hooked on that stuff. So good job to you for
Thank you.
not doing that. Moving forward, you got lots of things you want to do. What do you think the immediate plan is then after you graduate? Are you going to start with the Airbnb? Are you going to start small? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think I want to start with the Airbnb.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
we'll definitely get you set up with Darcy. Then I think she would want to.
Yeah, she would definitely. Yeah, her book is. I've been reading her book for part of the review because it's on Amazon now.
Okay.
Just having like a little preview of it, and it's pretty interesting to learn what all goes into buying a property in a business. Like, you don't think about the expenditures and stuff like that, but also how to get that money back through.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your boyfriend.
Well, we've been together for almost 8 years now.
Okay.
We started dating in February of 2017. Our number is 19 because we started dating on February 19th of 2017. So, yeah, we've been good. We have a good relationship. I trust him. He trusts me. Not really sure when I'm going to get married, but
yeah, I guess we'll talk about that later.
Soon. But yeah, we live together. We have 2 puppies together.
Okay.
We got a pug and a German Shepherd Husky, which love them so much. They're my whole life along with him. But yeah, we have a really good relationship.
That's fantastic.
And I think we should talk about your mom too, because I know that your mom was an amazing part of your life.
Yeah.
And I think that it'd be a good time to like talk about her a little bit too.
Yeah, she was amazing. She did everything for us. During the accident, COVID had the restrictions, so she really had to either stay in my room during the accident and not leave the room because of the COVID restrictions and everything, wearing the mask and staying 6 feet away, or she could go home, but she decided to stay with me. I can remember waking up sometimes during my bandage changes, and she would be right there with all the nurses doing the bandage changes on my legs. And she was the first person I seen when I woke up from my coma. She was smiles and teary-eyed, and she was just so happy that I was here and stuff. And she was just a great mom. She did everything.
And she was sick when she was helping you too, right?
Yeah.
Was going through illness.
It was about 2 or 3 months after I woke up from my coma that she told me that her rectal cancer came back. She originally got it my senior year of high school. We went to the doctors. They did a colonoscopy test. It came back that it was positive for stage 1, I believe, rectal cancer. So she went through chemo treatments, she went through radiation for 2 years, everything that she could. She did take off work and everything for that. And then she got past it. She won the battle against it. So she was able to go back to work and everything. And then after the accident, I think just so much stress from worrying and not being around her other kids and just not knowing the outcome of everything just caused so much stress and everything. And it ended up coming back. The cancer ended up coming back while I was in the hospital. So she underwent surgery as I was in the hospital too. She was right next door. The nurses would wheel me over to the room next door and so I could visit her. But soon enough she wasn't really doing well, so they had to take her home, and she was on hospice for about a year, I would say. And after 8 months of me in the hospital, I finally got to go home, be with her for 6 months, and then she passed away at the home that she was in. So
at your home.
Yeah.
And that's a amazing story there. She was sick and she was learning how to change your bandages and being there for you, and then you got to go home and then you got to help her.
Yeah.
And
it took a while for me to be able to help her because I was still going through a lot of pain and physical therapy. I could still barely walk, and I still needed to have people feed me because I wasn't able to feed myself and stuff. So she was there for that. But whenever I was getting better and more strength in myself, I was able to help her. And when she was coming to the end, I was holding her hand and I told her, kept telling her that I got you. I can do this. I don't need you anymore. You're okay to go, you know?
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that
she
provided
went
a
peacefully.
lot of peace for her.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did.
And you being there with her, just being at home, was probably enough help for her right there anyways, you
Yeah,
know?
and his mom was her hospice nurse, so it was just everyone there, and it was just a really...
My mom is also a hospice nurse, and
Oh.
they're the best moms. They really have hearts of gold to be able to
they
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID was such a tough time for everybody. I know during 2000, it would have been 2020 going into 2021. My dad had it was Thanksgiving when he found out he had lung cancer, and he got COVID the week he was supposed to get his lung removed. So that was the week of Christmas, and then first week of January happened. And it was during the storm in the Capitol. It was January 6th. He and I were the only two in the hospital, and I had to spend the entire week with him in there. And he just had his lung removed, and they wanted him to walk like 20 feet or something like that. And my dad, being the old stubborn bastard he is, I say that lovingly, wanted to walk the entire way to the wall. So there was just me in the hospital with him, and all of a sudden he gets like 10 more steps and he just turns completely purple, and his heart rate went to like 200 beats per minute, and you can just see all of the staff not panicking, even though they were panicking.
Yeah.
You know. And we got him back to his room and got him settled up, and he's 73 now, and he beat both of it. But that was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
such a wild experience being like. And I was 38. I was a full-grown man, but I was like, I felt like a little kid, just like a
Yeah.
little kid sitting there watching him.
course.
Yeah, and just to be the only person in the hospital with him was it was traumatic. You have to say it was traumatic.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even think, hearing her story about going through a traumatic injury in 2020, those are things that we weren't really actively talking about. We were talking about the older people in the old age homes and
Yeah.
being lonely for them. We were talking about people having babies and only having one person, but we weren't speaking enough about those situations where someone has an accident like that and only one person is able to have access to them. How lonely and scary that could be. I mean, I can't even imagine not having someone there when you woke up, like how scary that had to have been, and just being in the time where we didn't know what was happening.
Well, yeah.
That was such a confusing time to be alive. It was terrifying.
Yeah, and what time? I'm sorry. What time of year was it that your accident was?
October 20th of 2020.
2020. So we
Yeah.
were already in the height of COVID. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine waking up 3 or 4 months later and like finding out what the world's doing.
Yeah.
that had to be a shock to you.
Yeah, and whenever I first woke up, I had no idea what happened. Like, I thought I didn't even know why I was in there. And my mom asked me, like, do you know where you're at? And I couldn't talk because I had like
The trach.
the
Yeah.
trach and stuff. And so I would like kind of point toward it, like, I thought we were in Indiana Hospital. I never knew we were in West Penn until she told me.
Okay.
So that was kind of like a shocker too. And then just having people tell me, like, you're in here because you were in a car accident and you got burned, and I kind of didn't want to believe it.
Sure.
But I had to because it happened, you know?
Yeah.
And you just have like no recollection of that. So you wake up, it's like an alternate reality.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
October 20th of 2020 still. Like, I didn't know it was sometime in January the next year.
Yeah.
My birthday passed, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Like, I didn't get to celebrate any of that.
Yeah. What was your kind of psyche like that next 3 or 4 months while you were there?
I just had to keep going. You know, I didn't really have like, I couldn't really dwell on what I could have did different because that would have just made the progress go so much slower.
Yeah.
And it was nice because all the nurses that I had too, I got to know them more, and they were a little older than me, but they were still kind of my age. So they would sit with me on the nights that I had surgery, because I wouldn't sleep if I had surgery the next day. I would just be so scared. So they would sit with me and They would bring me food because I didn't like the hospital food. They'd bring me mac and cheese. They would bring me pizza. They would do everything just to make me comfortable, especially if my mom or my boyfriend wasn't there, or, you know. So it was nice having those group of doctors with me at that time.
Yeah, doctors and nurses really are saints. I sold cars at Blue Knob during that time, so we got doctors and nurses from all over the East Coast that would come and buy cars. A lot from New York City, a lot from Maryland, and they would tell stories about how they would hold the phone so like one patient could FaceTime their spouse while they were in the other wing of the hospital, so they couldn't. And so we give medical professionals sometimes a rough time, and on this podcast we try to let people know that they're human too. You know, they have emotions, and they have their own lives too, and we want to be able to honor them and help them.
They are absolutely overworked and underpaid. I have multiple nurses and doctors that work out in this gym, and they have to come after a full night shift to work out, because they know that if they don't, they will zonk out and they won't be able to come in later, or they won't take the time to take care of themselves. I can't even imagine working a full night shift and coming in and doing a workout. Like, they have superheroes that superpowers I've never seen before. It's just crazy. And they are overworked 100%.
Yeah, for my 5 days a week, I only work 8 hours, and I'm still stressed about going.
I mean, they're working 12-hour shifts.
And
12, 15-hour shifts and doing what they do. So, I love hearing the stories where people talk about their nurses and the awesome things that they do for them, and doctors that sit down and have good bedside manners and talk to you. That's so important, especially for your mental health as well. Yeah,
and some of the nurses are still texting me or even calling me, just checking up on me. And I was my one nurse, she actually invited me for her homecoming. Like, she moved to New Mexico and she came back to visit her parents, and she invited me to go to their party.
Oh.
Yeah, and my other nurse, she had a baby shower, so I was invited to that.
Nice.
So,
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is nice. They're watching me grow, and I'm watching them grow too.
Yeah.
All right, good.
And part of your healing process, like following your page online, I saw how many surgeries have you been through?
Over 50, maybe even 100 now. There was a lot. Like, whenever I was in the hospital, I would have one every 3 days maybe, and that was rough.
Now, for those surgeries, like, you've had so many, were you put under for all those surgeries, or really?
Yeah, most of them.
Even
the bandage changes, it was just so excruciating pain that they would have to
They would have to. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back?
Sure.
All right, cool. So in the second half here, I think we want to talk about attitude a little bit, and we'll talk about mental health and keep moving forward. I grew up in a household, I mentioned my dad earlier, he had polio. So when he was born, he was fine until he was about 2 years old, and he got polio. A nice little bookend to that, the Rotary group that I'm the president of was founded on stopping polio.
Oh, really?
Which, it was nice. But my dad has, his one leg is smaller than the other, and he always had such a good attitude, and he never complained about anything. And if I would mess up when I was a kid, he would say something like, "Do you want to lose a one-legged ass kicking contest?" And he had such a great attitude, and I see that from you too, and I think that's something fantastic, and I think that's something the world needs more of, and I'm just so proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, and I think the way I got through is I had to find God, and I had to find a reason to keep going. And that reason was my dogs, first of all.
Absolutely.
My boyfriend, I have to keep going for him. And just for myself, I'm here for a reason,
Absolutely.
I have to do something that is acceptable for myself, and sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're good.
Did you go through anger for a while? Did you go through grief?
I was mad at God. I was mad at myself. Why would I put myself through this? But at the end of the day, it's nothing I can do. It happened, and I'm just glad to be here.
Go ahead.
And I just think that those are normal grief responses. Being angry for a while, going through the grief process. I think everybody that I've ever known who has went through an accident, a health diagnosis, anything like that, goes through that. And I think a lot of times we're shamed for that. To like, get going. You'll get
the
through
toxic
this.
positivity,
But
which is a thing.
It can be a
sometimes.
thing. Yeah, where you have to be able to be mad for a little bit and then respond and I feel like you're reacting in ways now that like reflect your value and your character of who you are.
Yeah, and I still get upset and I still ask, like, why did it happen to me? And I'll maybe never get those answers, but it's still just, I have to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes your story is not just yours too. The amount of people that you've motivated and given hope to and things like that, you know, you won't ask why, I don't know why, but maybe it's to spread a message.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's to let the community know that, you know, you can overcome anything.
And sharing vulnerable things is always super difficult. I mean, I talk about my struggles having an eating disorder growing up and how it's really uncomfortable to talk about that. I'm a fitness professional and I'm like, well, people aren't going to listen to me now, like if I share the story, but maybe they will even more now that they know of the struggles that I endured to be where I'm at. And I think that like you have to go in with the state of vulnerability because people can always learn something from your story.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, part of the reason of starting this podcast and starting this group and all that was the sheer fact that I grew up a man in this area and we just didn't talk about stuff and I couldn't talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
So now I just talk too much about it.
And well, now, I mean, and two, through us having this group, you found a mental health diagnosis that you want your entire life.
I didn't know I was bipolar until after we started this group. Yeah, we were almost 7-8 months into doing this, and before I actually took my own advice and went to see a psychiatrist, and then they're like, do you do this, this, and this? And I said, yeah. I said no, and she said, didn't you just tell me you did, split up with your wife and quit your job and bought a house and did all this stuff and poor financial decisions? I was like, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've tried therapy, but I wasn't comfortable with talking to other people about it. I just rather do it myself and get it out there in the public,
Yeah.
like my Prayers for Payton page. It's not just about me, it's about like wanting to help other people too, to understand that like they're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember sitting in my basement whenever I was on Facebook and found out about you. So I've been thinking of you from that day forward. My niece went to high school, Janice. She's a year or two older than you, I think. And I texted her. I was like, "What's going on? How do you know her? Is everything okay? All that." It's just the day of. So we've been thinking about you for a long time.
What do you do to take care of your mental health?
I just try to keep busy. My dogs keep me busy a lot, so they really, really help.
Well, and you're writing a book, which you probably don't realize that also helps with your mental health, of getting those thoughts out of your head so they're not always...
Yeah, it's better to get it down, like either write it down or get it out rather than just keep it all in, and I'm learning that. Because I used to just keep everything in, not talk about it, just, and try to do everything myself. But after this accident, I realized I can't do it by myself. I need more motivation. I need somebody to talk to, somebody to get it out to,
Yeah.
So.
And one thing I enjoy, especially around this time of year, gratitude journals. Mm-hmm. Those are like something easy. It takes like 1 second of your day. It's just a little book. What are you grateful for today?
Yeah.
And just having one thing to be grateful for, even on your shittiest days, are like, those can help just keep you in that positive track that you need.
Yeah, focusing on the positive. We talked last week about, an object in motion stays in motion. It's a law of physics, but the second half of that is until it's affected by an outside source, and sometimes just the weight of life can pull us down, and it's very important to just keep going. Mm-hmm. You see people that are 70, 68 and healthy, and then they retire, and all of a sudden they're 70 and they're not moving anymore.
Right.
So it's so important to just keep moving and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And just paying attention to your mindset. Where I remember I never was if something bad happened at the beginning of my day, I'd be like, oh great, my day is ruined. And I lived in a city and I was driving home and it was busy and I walked in the house and I was in a bad mood and my boyfriend at the time was like, why are you being such a bitch? And I looked at him and I was like, I was in traffic the whole drive. He's like, are you still in traffic? And I was like, no. And then I stomped away. And then I thought about it and I was like, he's right. And then I come back in and I was like, you're right, I'm sorry. And having someone like call me out on it was a big wake up call for me, where I'm like, okay, so now like if I'm stuck in traffic, I just have like concerts in my car or
Right.
listen to a book or something to make yourself feel good.
That's like if I struggle to pick something up because I don't have the right hand, or I'll get frustrated if I can't do something by myself. Well, my boyfriend always comes and helps and like reassures me that I'm not alone, and
Yeah,
you have people that help. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. As far as your book, do you have an outline? Do you have like a first chapter? What do you got so far?
I got the title. I'm thinking everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
Not sure about the titles or anything. I mean the chapters or anything, but I got a lot written down, and I think it's gonna be more about my journey throughout all of it, the mental health, the pain, and the people that have helped me throughout the journey. So
Fantastic. And you'll probably write it 3 times before you actually write it.
Oh yeah, I delete stuff, I re-add it, I copy paste, whatever.
Do you do a lot of talk to chat to make it easier?
Oh
or-
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I kind of just talk to my phone, and if I don't like it, just delete it. And then I'll end up just retyping whatever I just said, but
Yeah.
And how annoying though when you say something and it types the wrong thing.
yeah.
That makes me more angry than anything.
Yeah.
And I think one thing you shared on your Prayers for Payton page, I think is going to be a good message for people. And you talked about your fear of going out in public for a while. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, before the accident, I didn't think I was all that pretty. I just kind of, I would post on social media, but I didn't get like a lot of attention or whatever. But when I first looked at myself after the accident in the mirror, I didn't know what I looked like. I just thought, my legs and my arms were burned, that was it. I didn't know my head and my face were involved. So when I looked in the mirror for the first time, I just kind of stopped what I was doing and just stared at myself. I was like, is this really me? Like, who is this, It was really hard for me to accept that. But I just, this is me. This is who I am now. And either people are going to accept it or they're not. And I got to keep going on with my life, so I still got to go and get groceries. I still got to go to the car shop, So people are going to see me all the time, and I can't always just worry about what other people think. I have to learn to love myself and find who I am again before I start worrying about who worries about me,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a really, like I told you, we're on break, like it was a courageous thing to share, because I think a lot of people, especially at first, would isolate and not want to go places.
Yeah.
But you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful then. You're beautiful now. And I think that you sharing your experience and telling people, like, don't be afraid to live your life. Like, that's a huge thing for people that they need to hear.
You can't let the past or the accident, you can't let it win. You have to push forward, and you gotta win,
Absolutely.
Yeah, small victories. Gotta celebrate small victories every single day.
Yeah.
If there's 1 or 2 things that you would like to let people take out of this interview and about moving forward, what do you think that would be?
You just gotta do you. You
Yeah.
know, you can't because everyone's gonna have their own opinions. Someone's gonna judge out there, but as long as you have like the community that I was telling you about, as long as you have those people and you know that you're safe and you love them and they love you, you're gonna be okay. You have to keep going, and you find those people that are gonna support you in the ways you don't think you need to support it in, but you do.
Yeah, you definitely need a tribe of people to be supportive. Our generation, like, we're older than you, our generation and the generations before usually had some parents, a couple aunts and uncles, and 2 or 3 cousins. They had about 12 people that took care of them. Now, the kids that are being born now only have mom and dad, and mom's working here, dad's working there, then there's divorce, and maybe they have but there's only like 2 or 3 people to take care of them. So you need to really find that tribe. You need to find those people and the numbers between 8 and 12
Yeah.
that you need to actually help and
Well,
take care of you.
Not to mention, most people's grandparents are still working.
Yeah,
When we were
yeah.
growing up, like, we didn't have that. Like, our grandparents weren't working.
No.
They could take us, like, you could go spend the weekend at your grandparents. And, you know, I think about my mom was young when she had us, but my niece just is about to turn 21. My mom's still working.
Yeah.
You know, and my
Yeah.
mom's just about to turn, sorry, Mary, about to turn 60 next year. So, you know, like, a lot of times they didn't have that. You know,
Yeah.
that support with families and parents, or at least one grandparent that wasn't working, you know.
Yeah, I remember when my grandmother had a mastectomy and she threw her fake boob at my sister when we walked in the door. It was, I'm pretty sure Jen, sorry to bring it up, but I'm pretty sure she's still traumatized from that. But we, my grandfather worked and my grandmother didn't, and for the longest time my dad worked and my mom didn't. When my dad had to retire, my mom went to work, and I had him at home. And I was the youngest of 5, so we had lots of people to take care of. It was my oldest niece, my second oldest niece just turned 18 last night, and yeah, it was pretty incredible. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But having that family and having those people to take care of you is as important as anything in the world, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, support systems are so important, especially when you're going through a harder situation, you know, any kind of health crisis. Like, it's definitely important. And having people that are positive too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when my mom passed away, you know, the biggest goal she had for me was finish college, you know? And I didn't want to. I was like, why? I have this new life now. Why should I?
Yeah.
But she just kept telling me, you need to find something you want to do and just finish something that you started. So that's also a reason why I keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To finish what she wanted me to do.
So how close are you?
I still have about 1.5 years left, almost
Perfect.
2.
That's
so
good.
I'm getting there.
Good. Glad to hear.
I like to take I like to schedule my schooling around my surgeries. That way I'm not stressing my body out so much, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And professors are pretty lenient on that with your health.
which I'm thankful for, so.
Good.
Yeah, I had a girl in here that had a lot of health issues, and it took her a really long time to graduate, but a lot of her professors, when she was in the hospital for months at a time, they worked with her.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. If you want people to succeed, you have to help them.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I think anything else? Any closing thoughts or anything from you?
Oh, I appreciate you so much
Yeah.
coming on and sharing
Yeah,
your
thank you
story.
guys.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. This is great. We'll try to get this out by tomorrow morning so people can find out about the gym and hear your story. And I'm excited for people to listen. And I'm
Me too.
super proud of you.
And I can't wait to read your book.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cannot wait.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, I love you guys.
Love you, bye.
Go outside.
Even though Justin doesn't come to the gym.